Hey folks, Winston for Carbide 3D here. CNC maintenance is a topic few of us enjoy, but it's a crucial part to ensuring your machine continues to perform well and that you're maximizing the value you get out of your investment. Although the methods we've prescribed over the years have evolved, the basic premise is the same. Make sure the ball bearings inside your linear blocks have a nice coating of oil on them so that they keep rolling smoothly. There's also another reason you should be keeping everything lubricated, and that's to prevent rust. A properly designed lubricant will have a package of chemicals dispersed throughout that inhibit corrosion. For our machines with linear rails, we recommend the Mobile Vactra family of whey oils, either grades 2, 3, or 4. To apply this oil to your linear bearing blocks, I recommend using a syringe without a needle with a capacity of between 2 to 3 milliliters and a lure slip tip. Using a syringe will allow us to force oil into the linear blocks with more pressure than is possible using a pipette, and it'll be way more effective than simply dripping and wiping on a coating of oil over the rails. Several of these syringes are provided in our maintenance kit, and if you need more, you can easily purchase them online from a variety of retailers. Before we do anything to the machine though, it's always a good idea to start by doing some basic cleaning. I like to first jog the machine to the front and center of its travel, and then back it up just a little bit so I have some room to work, and also some space to put my tools. Use a vacuum with a crevice attachment to remove any dust or debris that's accumulated on your linear rails and the bearing blocks. If you need to, you can use a toothbrush to dislodge stubborn debris. One word of caution though, don't scrape away the grease that's on your ball screw nuts if your machine is equipped with them. The grease that's packed onto the ball screw nut and oozes at the ends keeps the ball screw lubricated, and that dam of grease outside the nut will trap debris and keep it from entering. It's like a secondary seal. Okay, now that everything's cleaned up, we can start working on the machine. Linear bearings have a small screw in the ends. Remove one from each bearing block and set it aside. And just in case, not that anyone would ever accidentally lose one and need to source a replacement, these are M4 button head screws and they're 5 millimeters long. Now here's the plan with the syringe. We want to center the tip of the syringe inside the rubber seal on the face of the linear block. It's not going to seal perfectly, but if we keep the syringe perpendicular to the face, we'll be able to inject oil with a decent amount of pressure into the block and through the ball bearings. Here's what that looks like in practice. On our Shapeoko 5, I'm starting with the X and Z axis blocks, since they're all located in roughly the same spot. The amount of oil to inject should be about half a milliliter. If a little bit leaks out, you can squeeze in a little more to compensate, and you really can't overdo it, but you'll be wasting oil and the excess could drip down onto your table. I know I personally like the smell of machine oil walking into a shop, but that person buying your charcuterie board probably won't appreciate it as much. On the y-axis, the reach may be a little bit awkward, but you should have enough room to line up your syringe and inject oil. Once you've applied oil to every axis, reinstall the M4 button heads capping the linear blocks. Note that these are very short screws with not a lot of thread engagement. If you over-torque these screws, you can strip the threads and have to replace a linear block, which is not fun. Because these screws press against a rubber seal that will squish a bit and keep the threads in tension, they should hold just fine as long as you torque them to the scientific measurement of 2-finger tight. After your linear blocks are closed up, you should jog the machine back and forth a couple times to redistribute the oil within the blocks and over your linear guides. For good measure, you can elect to put a couple drops on the ball screw, but if you still see a healthy glob of grease on the ball screw nut, this isn't really necessary. If oil is pooling or dripping off the rails, you can dab it off with a paper towel. Excess oil can be a dust magnet. I'd also recommend laying a paper towel under your Z-axis to catch any drips that might happen overnight. And congratulations, you're done with maintenance, at least for a while. How would you know when to lubricate your linear bearings next? Well, that really depends on how often you use the machine and how dirty your machine gets. If you don't use dust collection religiously, debris on your rails can wick away that protective lubricating coating, meaning you have to perform maintenance more often than someone who does use dust collection regularly, so the interval can really vary. But if you're a heavy user, I'd recommend starting by lubricating your machine every 3 to 4 months. If you're an occasional weekend warrior, maybe once or twice a year is enough. The one symptom that should signal you to immediately lubricate your machine, though, is if you see or even feel that your linear rails are dry. This means they're vulnerable to corrosion and your bearing blocks are probably going to roll with more friction and leave you at risk of losing steps and ruining a project. The latest version of Carbide Motion does include a runtime clock and odometer for each axis, so you could track how long your machine can go before the rails get critical and develop a maintenance plan that's best suited for your usage if you're into that kind of thing. That's all I have for lubricating the linear rails on your Shapeoko or Nomad. If you have any questions about other maintenance-related tasks, feel free to reach out to us at support@carbide3d.com. Good luck and have fun machining, folks.